families, welcome to my video on subtracting mixed numbers with unlike denominators. This lesson is taking in two skills. One is making denominators the same, and the other is looking at two different place values when subtracting fractions. I'm going to start with the problem 2, so a whole number, 2 3/4. And from that, we are going to subtract 1 1/4. Remember, we always start on the easy side when we start looking at a new skill. So before I subtract, I actually do something really similar to how we subtract large numbers when we're looking at whole numbers. I stack these two. So I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna stack 2 3/4 with 1 1/4. The stacking is really important because it lets me look that there's actually two different place values happening here. So if I kind of drew a little dividing line here, just like we do with whole numbers, I'm looking at this side and then this side. And when we subtract, we always subtract fractions first and then whole numbers. So let's subtract the fractions first. I have same denominators, so I don't have to do any changes to the denominators, and I subtract 1/4 from 3/4. So that gives me 2/4. Now, some of you may already recognize how to simplify this fraction, but remember, simplification is not part of 5th grade. You can practice that in the upper grades, but we're just worrying about getting to the correct fraction. Here I then go to the whole numbers and I subtract 1 from 2, and that's just 1. Okay? So if we wanted to simplify, we would say that this is equal to 1 1/2, but 1 2/4 is fine. So this was example 1. Let's take a look at another example. So I'm going to divide my page here so we don't get two problems confused. Now we're going to look at the problem 6 11/16. And from that, we are going to take away 2 5/8. Now you can see that I don't have the same denominators yet. I have a 16th and I have an 8th. So I'm going to need to make same denominators. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and stack. So I'm going to do 6 11/16. And I'm going to stack that with 2 5/8. Okay, so this is subtraction. Just so we continue to see the clear place value, I'm going to go like this. Okay, I'm going to start by converting these two. So if I was looking, I'm going to take that 16 and I'm going to wonder, is 16 a multiple of 8? Well, if I counted by my 16s and 8s, so if I put my 16 and I put my 8s, and I always start with the smaller number first, so I do 8, and I do 16, and then I can stop because look at that. There is a common multiple, and it's 16. So I'm not gonna worry about my 16ths. I'm gonna keep it 11/16, and I'm gonna change 5/8. I see that it took 2 to get to 16. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 2 to keep my fraction equivalent. And so now my new equivalent fraction is 10/16. Okay? So now I can subtract 10/16 from 11/16, and I have 1/16. Then I can go to my next place value and subtract 2 from 6, and this becomes 4. Since I have a 1 in my numerator, this is simplified. So my answer is 4 and 1/16. Okay, this should get you started on the first set of independent practice pages if you're using your My Math book. If you're going to do IXL, you're going to want to watch the next video before you start your IXL, because in IXL, they have regrouping as part of their practice. So those of you who are doing your independent practice pages, please do that. Those who are waiting to do IXL, move on to the next video. See you there.